Well, good morning. This is Teacher Terry, and I'm looking at some of these questions. Last night I had a person come up and ask me, are U.S. teachers breaking the law? Breaking the law in their hiring practices, in their interviews. I'm going to have to probably, after thinking about it, I think maybe they are. Do I believe they can be held accountable? I really don't know. You'd have to go a little bit further in this. And I think that these people who are interviewing for these companies should be thinking and being aware of this. Seriously. Because I think as an individual, you can actually probably litigate against the interviewer themselves if they're an American. I think. I don't know. I don't live in America, but I'm thinking this is probably true. Where I live, it's blatant discrimination everywhere. You just know how to live with it. So in America, there's several things that stand out in the online interview process. Number one, do they practice ageism? They do. In fact, in a lot of the websites and a lot of the criteria, when they say apply, they're looking for people between these ages. Right away, that's ageism. If they don't say that in the interview process, the recruiter's got these little checklists and they'll be checking too old. I mean, they got their little notes. They got their little pad down there, people. And they're sending this into the parent company. Another one, especially in Asian, a lot of the companies say they don't hire blacks. They don't come out and say it that away, but there is a lot of racism involved in this. Let's just go ahead and say it doesn't even necessarily have to be the color, because the South Africans in some companies they don't hire them. Non-native speakers that are very fluent, very adept, they don't hire them. They say you must be from Canada, America, Australia, England, New Zealand. They list exactly this is where you must be from. I think that's racism. Another one that really gets me is there's a real tendency for female interviewers to only want to hire females, or they only want to hire their friends from companies that they used to work for, or they may be working for 2 or 3 different companies. They just happen to be interviewers for this one company. I think it's conflict of interest, but that's their decision. And I have seen that's happened to me before. I went all the way through a total hiring process with Protostar, and I'll name them because I really am bitter about this one. And I've got proof of it because I videoed all my stuff. And what they did was I got all the way to the onboarding, and then this girl who failed me a year ago, I reapplied and had a different interviewer. She loved me. She really gave me the heads up. She was great. Her name was April. This other one that suddenly they switched, I got the same one that failed me the last year, and her name's April too. If you got 2 of them side by side, she's going to be the bigger one. Now, what she did was she probably knew she couldn't fail me straight out, but she stretched the interview out over a couple of weeks instead of really quick like a lot of them do. And when I got in, everybody in the company, and I had a lot of people that worked there, a lot of people in the know, and they said, "Got the job, man. You've made it this far. The rest is just a little training. You've got the job." All these were women teachers, but they said no one gets as far, and then they deny them. Hey, that's cool. I did get that far, and right before onboarding, we decided to go with another teacher, but they didn't know I know that other person is young, cute girl, very little experience, very little qualifications. It was a total deal. Sexism. Now, I have been told by companies before they only hire female teachers. Even though I've had other people say there's a real shortage of male teachers, that, you know, well, if that's the case, what happens? So, you do have racism involved here. You do have, and that's based on where you live, not necessarily your skin color. I do know that a lot of these companies shy off from darker skinned colors. I do know that. I do know that they list specific countries, which negates non-native speakers who are probably qualified in many cases more. I'll give you an example. The Philippines, I've never met a Filipino teacher that wasn't very good, an English teacher that wasn't good, better than me in grammar, in English, in many areas. Because we use the language, we don't go in that deep into it. They actually do. I worked with a girl named Nora before. Her husband, Edsel, I've lost touch with him for many years. Both of them were from the Philippines, and they were so good in English, I couldn't believe it. It made me look really bad. Dedicated, involved. I mean, this was a great couple. And yet, they were discriminated against because they were Filipino. Remember, the Filipinos used to be governed by the U.S. for about 200 years. And their first language is English. They were not non-native speakers. They were English-speaking country. And, you know, if you look at 5-1 Talk, 5-1 Talk would hire a Filipino for $6 an hour, and they'd be paying somebody from America up to $20 an hour or something like that. And say they weren't non-native speakers. In fact, they were native speakers. Their government screwed them over when they decided to make the official language Tagalog. Hey, it wasn't our fault. Some idiot up there really squashed the pay rate and pay scale for the Filipino people. So what they do is now 5-1 Talk has basically gone to a whole nother name, and they're just hiring Filipinos and paying them pennies. What they would pay what they call a native speaker. Okay, so I digress. We've got racism, we've got sexism. Now, they'll also come in there and say, oh, you look old. I've had them say that. In fact, I had one interviewer, an American girl, tell me in the interview, you know, maybe you should dye your hair because the company doesn't look favorable on, you know, you'd probably look younger. That's almost exactly the way she said it. So now you've got ageism. So you got racism, sexism, ageism. I mentioned about what happened Protostar. It's happened in many companies. Cronyism. My friends are going to get hired. Is there a lot of discrimination going on in these hiring processes, and are they being perpetuated by U.S. citizens against their own citizens? Yes, it is. Are they breaking U.S. law? Yes, they are. In fact, a lot of these laws are federal laws. Do I think, as an American citizen that's fallen victim to this, you can actually sue that individual for what they said? I think you probably can, which would then in turn require that the deposition and proof why they did it would have to come from the parent company who gives them the authority to do it. Now you're going to drag in the head companies, you're going to drag in the powers, and that's going to make some changes in the industry. Number one, a lot of your older teachers are retired real teachers, are applicants. They're real teachers. Me, for instance, I'm going to be 66 years old this year. This year. I've been teaching in some capacity over 40 years. Kindergarten to grades 5 primarily, mostly. I have taught some high school, junior high. I've even taught in vocational schools. I've been around the world in non-native English-speaking situations. I've been in schools where no one spoke English, and I had a tough time figuring out what they wanted me to do. You know, it wasn't undoable because some people had broken English, and you know, it was fun. It actually was. You know, we've got to come to terms with this. People in America, for some reason, and in the world, even in China, even in the country I live in, they think once you get old, you forget everything, you're no longer valuable, you're obsolete. And that's the biggest mistake they can make. The biggest mistake they can make. The young don't have the experience. The young has a huge learning curve to go through. The young feel entitled in today's society. Most of them do, not all. Come in there, they're wanting the dog and pony show. They're really not dedicated to career in the online industry as much as the older people are, because the older people have homes and houses and family. And if they've got the qualifications, the licenses, the degrees, the experience, these are the people you need. You don't need somebody coming off the road to say, "Hi there, my name is so-and-so. I look so pretty. They just love to see me. I love children so much. I've got a TEFL. I got it online. I pay $5 with a Groupon. I'm a real teacher. Can you hire me? Oh, thank you so much. It's just going to be wonderful. I can do TBR. A, B, C, D. I've got all this energy." You know? Well, hell, she's yeah, you got a lot of energy, but can she teach, or is she just being an entertainer? You know, you got to consider all of these things. What are you hiring for? What are you looking for? What is that little checklist that interviewer's got? You know, what has she been told to do, or he been told to do? What is it? You're going to suffer a lot of discrimination in this online industry because they're protected by this virtual void. I'm way over here, you can't get me, ha ha ha. Baby, if it's a federal violation and I go down here and file a federal lawsuit on you, or a lawsuit, I can file it in my country or my state, and you're going to have to come to my state and prove your case. Yeah, I can sue you. Now, I don't know if it would apply to people in a foreign country like where I'm at, but I can definitely tell you, I think you got some recourse in America. Are American interviewers for these companies violating U.S. law? Yeah, I think they are. I think. Now, I don't know. I'm not an attorney. But this is one of the questions, and I did my best to answer it based on what I think. I will say, teachers, prospects, applicants, you're going to hit a lot of isms. You really are. Good luck, and I hope you make it through. I love teaching online. I love the opportunity. I'm very supportive of a good company that supports me and my fellow teachers. I will do what I can to help the industry progress and expand, but I just believe we need to be transparent, we need to be honest, we need to be open, and we need to have the right people in the jobs. This is a professional job, teaching. Now, online, one-on-one, I don't know, anybody could probably tutor in their home, but we're actually representatives of the United States. We're actually representatives of the teachers as a whole, and I think we owe a service to them. Thank you. This is Teacher Terry. I do hope you're the best, and I do hope you think about some of these things. If you're an interviewer, I do hope that you reevaluate what your criteria is and really think about you're impacting the lives of many people. But, you know, it's just an open thought. Anyway, that's the way I see it today. This is Teacher Terry. I hope to see somebody in the classroom. Bye.